Get ready, anglers. This week's species can be found all over Florida. It's a fun fight for all ages and probably one of Rick's favorite species to catch of all time.
You're absolutely right, Bree. Whenever I'm guiding for or winning tournaments, redfish are a Murphy household staple. And you know what? When we're catching them, we're going to catch them tonight.
Perfect.
Here on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, which starts
now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report and to one of the most anticipated shows of our season as we talk about redfish. And when I say we, I mean Rick. Rick, we know you've had your many moments with this incredible species, and you've promised to reveal all of your secrets to our viewers and live studio audience this week.
You know, when you mentioned redfish, the first time I ever went to Flamingo, 1974, and I caught redfish on Father's Day in 1974, and it's been a love relationship ever since.
It's been
How
in your
were
life
you
for a
in
long
70? Yeah,
I wasn't even thought of.
Yeah.
Came around maybe like 20 years later. But anyway, we're excited for your words of wisdom a little later. Plus, we get to chat with our friend from Yamaha. But before we get to our first captain, let's say hi to Dave at the CCA Workbench, who's going to be working hard today.
Oh, yeah. I'm stealing money.
You are
You heard Rick when he said in the start, when I guide or win tournaments, all he does is win, win, win.
Win, win, no matter what. And that's what we like here. All right. Like Rick, so many of our captains have a deep love for the Reds, and our real legend Central East Region captain, Jim Ross, is one of them. So why don't you go ahead and kick it off, Jim?
You know, Bree, I love it every year when this show comes around because this is one of my favorite species to chase. And like Rick, you know, I spent many, many years chasing this particular species. You know, redfish, AKA red drum, are really, really popular fish here in the Real Legends region. And of course, you know, they are the royalty of the shallows, really. The Space Coast area was once a world-renowned destination fishery for these world record-sized redfish, and it's because we used to have dozens of schools of 40 to 50-inch redfish, numbering into the hundreds in all three of our lagoons. But over the years, you know, poor water quality, degrading habitat, angling pressure have all diminished this once incredible fishery. But you know what? Things are looking better in recent years, and we had some real lows in the mid-teens, to 2015, 2016, 2017. But things are on the mend now, and with conservation-minded anglers, with better fish handling practices, along with organizations like the CCA introducing hatchery-reared redfish by the thousands into our local waters, it's all helping to bring this fantastic species back to their once former glory. Now, most of the time, redfish are not hard to catch. Put a piece of chunk bait out on a flat anywhere that you find bait fish, and you'll probably catch one or two or maybe more. And then our area inlets are usually full of redfish this time of the year. They're ready to eat a lip diving plug, a saltwater assassin tail, especially when the fall mullet run kicks in the fall time, or any time at night, because it's so hot right now, nighttime fishing is actually better. So get out there and have some fun pulling on these bulldogs of the inshore waters. And I've got a typical inlet redfish picture here with my first angler. And then with my second angler, we've got a typical flats redfish that you can expect in the Central East Real Legends region.
Nice.
Now, staying offshore, the king mackerel are a little spotty over the past couple of weeks because we've had a little bit of cold water that's pushed in from these upwellings after the effects of the winds from Hurricane Debbie. But the last couple of days, the beach is getting better, the near coastal waters all the way out to the reef getting good. Kingfish seem to be bunching back up on the reefs. And so look for bait pods, or if you can't find a bait pod, just get yourself a natural bait, a cigar minnow or a ribbon fish, and slow troll them around those areas. You know, the High Bar down out of Sebastian, Bethel Shoal, Pelican Flats, the East 11 up out of Ponce, and the Party Grounds are all great places. Most of our kings are running 10 to 18 pounds at this time. Now, swinging back inshore, those yellow submarines, AKA the Jack Crevalle, are in our near coastal waters. And, you know, if you want to catch them in the lagoon systems, a lot of guys like to call them ditch tuna in there because they fight so hard. But we've got really good numbers of them this week. And the deeper edges of the flats in the Mosquito Lagoon and the flats from Melbourne to Wabasso are holding good schools of Jack Crevalle right now. And they're running around just ravaging the bait fish in those areas. So any kind of fast-moving artificial or spoon will work. I like to throw a top water, like a walk the dog style top water. That gets some really great strikes. You just cast it out where you see the feeding activity and try to reel it back to the boat about as fast as you can, and you will probably catch one. Most of our jacks will actually slam those top waters, and it doesn't matter if it's in the morning or midday. When they're on a feed, you can catch them. And they're running from about 2 to upwards of about 15 pounds right now. Got a little picture of one that we took from the Banana River the other day on a nice little topwater plug mid-morning. And then my last species is snook. And you know what? Snook remain to be, they're so good right now in our inlets. You can catch them under docks, under mangroves in the lagoon as well, but the inlets are the place to catch them. Saltwater assassin 3-inch split-tail minnows or 4-inch sea shad are working really good when you've got glass minnows around, and the pilchard color seems to be one of the best that we're throwing right now. Most of our snook are running from about 20 to 36 inches. Those 20 inches are going to be on the flats, and those 36s are going to be at the inlets. And we've got a picture here of one that we put in the boat the other day, right down there at the inlet at Sebastian. So there's plenty of them out there, you guys and gals. Get out there in this real legend Central East region and go catch some.
What a beautiful fish. Thanks for all the pictures this week, Jimmy. We'll talk to you later. It's time for the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots from the Central East region. Jim says, listen, inshore, snook from Sebastian River to Winter Beach. Use assassin soft plastics, live mullets, or a croaker. Fish under the docks and those hanging mangrove branches. And then offshore, king mackerel around the bait pods within a couple of miles of the inlet. Use live pogies or a threadfin on a wire stinger rig is going to catch those macks.
All right, well, anytime is a good time for hooking up to a red in the Discover Crystal River Northwest region with Captain Jeff Hageman. So let's get those details. Hi, Hag.
How do? Redfish are strong throughout my entire region all year round. Tend to school up really good in the spring and the fall in larger numbers. They can be found on grass flats, around oyster bars, shell bars, docks, passes. Can be caught on spoons, jigs, subsurface baits, flies, live and dead bait. The beginning of the incoming tide is a great time to look for tailors. As the tide gets higher, the fish will get a little less spooky, and the higher water makes them feel a little more comfortable. Trolling motor, even on those slower speeds, can still be a little spooky, and stealth is a big thing when you're fishing big schools of redfish. So you want easy and real slow on your trolling motor or pull in, either way, and be as stealthy as possible. When you're fishing those big schools that we have, make sure you don't cast your baits directly in the center of the bait. You kind of want to fish the edges. They'll be a little less spooky, and you'll have a little less chance of blowing them out, and just kind of pick the ones off the edges as you're fishing those big schools. Most of our school fish range anywhere from 27 to 34 inches, and those big breeder redfish that we get, those 20 to 30 pounders, can be found in the fall and the spring, usually when the kingfish are here, and they'll be out there on those hard bottoms. Way to find them is get out there and look for those frigate birds that will usually be over top. And I got a photo here of a nice West Coast redfish caught with me.
Nice. All right, what else you got for us this week, Hack?
Staying with a snook, Captain Jim Pollard, Big Daddy Sport Fishing. It's good snook to fight right now, early morning hours. Captain Jim's catching large numbers of medium-sized snook, and he's soaking a bigger menhaden chunk out the edges as he's fishing for those smaller buck snook and fishing for those bigger ones. Commonly, with those live pilchers, he's using 20 to 30-pound fluorocarbon leader with a 1/0 Trocar circle hook. And that bigger bait he's putting out for those bigger fish, he's choking that menhaden. He's putting 40-pound fluorocarbon leader and a 3/0 to 4/0 Trocar circle hook, depending on the size bait he's got. And I got a photo of a nice snook from Big Daddy Sport Fishing.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Offshore, Captain Rob Davenport, Big Nasty Charters out of St. Felix reports good red snapper bite right now. It's been anywhere from 70 to 210. That's where it's been on fire. Bottom rig with 68-pound fluorocarbon leader, 6 to 8/0 Trocar circle hook, and 8 to 10 ounces of lead, depending on the depth you're fishing and the current you've got. Threadfin herring right now, or sardine, tipped with squid has been his bait of choice, but he says live bait has also been working pretty good too. And I got a photo here of a typical West Coast red snapper.
Yeah, that's a nice one there, bub. All right, anything else this week?
I got another snapper report for you, from your favorite ones. Captain Rob also reports a good mangrove snapper bite right now. 40 to 70 feet of water on high relief structure or reefs right now. Light leader has been the trick, anywhere from 15 to 30 pound. 1 to 2/0 Trocar circle hook, just enough lead to get it down. Knocker rigs been working most effective, and live small sardines, small pinfish, and shrimp have been the bait of choice. And I got a photo here of a beautiful mango.
That is a beautiful one, man. Making me hungry. All right, bub, thank you so much. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Ozella Key Marina hotspots from the Northwest region. Jeff says inshore, snook along the beaches and in the passes using free line sardines for bait. And then offshore, red snappers seem to be everywhere from 80 to 200 feet of water over the high relief structure, flat rock, and live rock bottom.
All right, well, next up, Dave is standing by for the Fish Bites Trading Post, Rigs and Techniques at the CCA Workbench. Dave, I really hope you have some questions ready.
Oh, I don't have any questions. I'm just going to let him talk.
Just let him talk.
He's opened up his secret tackle boxes for the world to see.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you believe it?
I can't. All right, then we'll be walking the dog in the StarTron Central West region with Captain Jeff Page. He's going to share his secrets. We'll be back.
He knows.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Sirius XM Marine. Weather. Fish mapping. Entertainment. Penn. Let the battle begin. Casa Vieja Lodge. 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Berkeley Prospect Chrome. Fish Bites Trading Post. The first choice of First Coast anglers. Castaway Coffee. One taste and you'll be hooked. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and it's time for the Fish Bites Trading Post, Rigs and Techniques, Dave. And we're going to talk about redfish.
Yeah, first we're going to start off with what we need to fish with them, for them with. Is that right?
Yes.
So we're going to talk about the rods and reels. And these are Penn Authorities. I think you got a 3500 and a 2500, and we're going to go into that as well. But these are the flagship of the Penn spinning reels. Really nice submersible IPX8 waterproofing. You can dunk that thing in the water. Don't have to worry about the drag or the interior getting messed up with salt water. Full metal body with the side plates as well. Stainless steel main gear and stainless steel pinion gear. And they have 12+1 stainless steel ball bearings in them. So they're incredibly smooth. And what I like about them is they have the level line slow oscillation system.
Right.
So that the line lays perfectly on the spool, which goes a long way to eliminate a lot of those wind knots, we call them. Is when you throw and big pluff of braid comes out.
Yep.
Well, that's because the line's not laying correctly, and these Authority reels make that happen. And they're on the Fenwick world-class rods. That's the name of the rod. It's their lightest and most sensitive rod that they've made in 70 years of making rods. They were the very first ones to make graphite rods. These are 40 and 36 ton blended blanks. And with titanium guide frames, so nothing's going to rust on them, nothing's going to break on them. Just really nice rods. And you brought these two specifically for redfish.
Well, these two are mine, and the lighter action I use for sight fishing because it's a lot more finesse casting. Dave, I've won more money off of fishing with a spoon.
The spoon is the king. People don't realize it.
It really is, because it's a great search lure, and you can just cast it out. It's idiot proof, which really works well for me.
Me too.
And then the other rod is just a little heavier rod, so that if you're throwing big lures, or maybe you want to fish bait,
right?
Then you have a little bit more backbone in here, so that bigger fish you can shut down.
Right.
The other thing that comes to mind when I'm looking at all of this, Dave, is that I've matched everything up with this Berkeley 9X braid.
Right. The 9X braid is a 8-carrier braid that's wrapped around a single cord. That's why it's got the number 9 associated with it. Very limber, cast it's so smooth and round, cast like a dream. The 5 is a little bit more coarse, better for abrasion and stuff like that. It's called the 5 because it's a 4-carrier around a single core.
Correct.
So those are both really good choices for your braid.
So when it comes to lures, there's a variety of soft plastics. Again, anything with a paddle tail, like this Artemis shad that Bass Assassin makes. I love the shrimpy colored pink. This is butt naked color.
Right. I was about to ask you if there was a certain color combination that you like, or certain days that you want to use.
And we have obviously the P&V. I'm sorry, the little pad. This is the pilchard color.
Yeah, that thing is a miracle looking thing right there.
And you can rig this weedless. You can put it with a light jig. You can also throw, scented baits like a fish bite shrimp, to tailing fish.
Yeah, under a cork.
Under
shrimp,
a bass sassy cork.
That shrimp, that fish bite shrimp really worked for me and Jeff Page underneath the cork the other day.
Of course, and then you have
Savage Gear shrimp.
The
too.
Savage Gear, which this is something I use for sight fishing. It's rigged weedless, so we can get in there for a tailing fish. The mistake we make when they're tailing is we try to bounce it into his house.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is just slide it, because all of these little legs and antennas, as we're reeling this through there, it's going to have all its life that you need. You don't need to bounce it. And so many times
that'll spook them.
You get pressured fish.
Yeah, shrimp don't attack redfish very often.
No. And then one of my favorite baits now is this Savage Twitch Reaper. And the reason why I like it so much is, does this not look like a real pilchard?
Yes, it does.
And it darts back and forth underneath the water. It's a walk the dog bait that is literally under the water.
Right, and you got that Berkeley Chapo. That's a great thing to use on the surface. I like to, redfish with that little mouth underneath. They have a hard time getting that top water. I love watching them try.
And the Chapo is just like the spoon. It's just reel it back. It has its own action. It's vibrating. It's making noise. Yeah. And the lateral line of a redfish, a snook, a trout, whatever, it's going to feel that.
Right.
You did a great job tonight.
You did,
Dave.
too.
Right?
Oh, thank you.
Dave, I just want to give you a high five from over here at the T-shirt, because you held your own.
Yeah.
He did.
Sir.
He was not going to let me talk the whole time.
Heck no. All right.
it.
Jeff Page is no stranger to some redfish in the Star-Tron Central West region and knows exactly when to target them. So go for it, Page.
Yes, real quick. It was so good seeing you guys at the Daiquiri Deck last week down there in Venice. And it was really a pleasure to get to fish with Dave the next day. We had a lot of fun. In the Star-Tron Central West region, Rick, you've spent a lot of years here fishing with me, different months too. And you know that we're coming up to the full moon in August, which is a really good time of year because we've got a lot of rainwater that's flushing out. We've got lots of bait that have flushed into the bays. And those redfish, they like that tannic water. It's a little cooler in the middle of the summer, and it pretty much rings the dinner bell for them. I like that, especially when we have those calm mornings and you can run by and see the fish raise up along grass flat edges, oyster bar edges, shorelines. I'll never forget one time we were pre-fishing and you found those fish the day before the tournament out front of Buttonwood. Why? Because it was slick calm. You ran by, you were going somewhere else, and you spotted them, and we ended up doing pretty good in that tournament. So always pay attention when you're running grass flats or going areas red fishing, because you can come across schools just like that. Now, in the heat of the day, it's a good game plan, especially if you get that midday high tide, to fish up under the mangroves. You can skip chunks of ladyfish. You can skip gulp shrimp, fish bites, chunks, lots of different things. And pretty much what the guys call that is dead sticking, where you barely move it or don't move it at all. Now, as we get into the cooler months, it's a good time that you can pattern those low tides, those negative low tides, and fish the potholes with soft plastics like you guys were just talking about, paddle tail or the little gulp shrimp or little PV from Saltwater Assassin. And I like rigging them on heavier jig heads, especially if I'm staying in the deeper sand bottom holes where I can slide it or bounce it across the bottom. Now, some mornings when you raise those fish up, it's really good to have a topwater plug like that Jaywalker 110 in the bone pattern, or if the water's a little stained, in the chartreuse pattern. One last thing I'd like to say is next month I get to go with Scotty Moore to an FWC symposium where we're going to go over the regulations. They may adjust them for redfish to ensure their longevity and their population growth. My picture tonight is of our good friend Captain Ozzie Lessinger with a 35-inch redfish he caught not too long ago that helped us win round 3 Team Startron of the Flats Master Series.
That's right. All right, let's stay inshore. What else you got this week, Bob?
Tarpon, lots of juvenile tarpon. I know you and Ridge were telling me you guys have been catching them. There's lots of hatch bait up and down the beaches, up in the bays, back of Palmasola Bay. Anywhere there's been rain, water pouring into the back bays has been good. But this week they've been out on the beach. And I don't mean just a couple. I mean a lot of juvenile tarpon. And the cool thing about those smaller fish, Rick, as you know, you get a bait in front of them, they usually eat it. And that can be a fly, that can be a twitch bait like that reaper, like that Savage Reaper. That's a great one, that smallest one they make. And then, of course, the darker colored fly, and then live pilchard, a live pinfish. You're going to catch that fish. And then nighttime guys have been doing real well with live ladyfish and silver mullet. And my photo tonight is of a juvenile tarpon that we caught out on the beach. And we did throw a live pilchard right in front of him, and he ate it instantly.
You got about a minute left to do your offshore roll, Bub.
Goliath grouper, I mentioned it a few weeks ago. That Goliath grouper, they can be in as close as 30, but 60 to 90 feet has been pretty much the number. And just about any kind of chunk bait, jack, mullet's going to work real well. My photo tonight, Captain Jason Stock from Full Send Charters. And my last species, mangrove snapper, pretty much the hotter the summer, the more they bite. Guys have been catching those in 90 to 150 feet. And, you know, you can even get a gag grouper, which opens here in a couple weeks. And a few yellowtails have been mixed in with them. 30-pound fluorocarbon with a 3 or 4.0 light wire joke trocore circle hook. And my last photo is a nice limit of gags caught with Captain John Gunter of Palmetto.
Boy, those are a nice set of mangroves there, Bub. All right, it's time for the daiquiri deck. Central West hotspots. Captain Page says inshore, lots of mangrove snappers are holding in most of the inlets and the passes from Venice Jetties north to Egmont Pass. Look for them on the deeper grass flats, and then offshore. Lots of gag groupers have moved in a lot closer and are holding on hard bottom areas, ledges in 70 to 100 feet of water, which is a good sign for the opening of gag season, which is just 2 weeks away, Bree.
Super exciting. All right, redfish are highly sought after for their fight, but in Florida, they can also be sporting a red tag that could win you, the angler, a new boat, motor, and infinity trailer package, or a Sea-Doo Can-Am package. The CCA Florida Star competition, presented by Yamaha, offers 5 registered anglers big prizes: a contender, deck cat, spider, micro draft skiff, and Yamaha, and infinity trailer or Sea-Doo Can-Am package. But the angler who catches the tagged redfish must be registered in Star and a CCA member before they hook the fish. There are over 160 tagged redfish swimming around in the coastal waters of Florida, with over 30 days of fishing still left in the competition. And here's a little hint: every coastal county has 4 tagged reds, but Charlotte and Citrus counties have 8. So just saying, go to ccaflstar.com to get registered today. But we're checking in with our Takeuchi Keys captain and chatting with our friend from Yamaha when we come back. Then we're finding out Captain Ronnie Houston's favorite way to catch them in the Alta Equipment Southwest region. So stay hooked.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, your fish, our science, Bahio, blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses, Scoozy Shoes, the captain's choice for premium lightweight comfort, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong, Penn, let the battle begin, Kubota, together we do more, and the International Order of T. Roosevelt, protect your right to fish.
Well, joining me is my product specialist from Yamaha, Lucy Bird. You know what, Lucy? We've got 3 of these on our new Front Runner 36, 3 350s. And so the product came out at the boat show in February. How is everybody liking it?
Oh, it's a hit, of course. It's been a good year for the 350, and largely because, of course, it's a good product, but it was a horsepower gap that we had. So our customers were asking us for it. So they asked, Yamaha brought it.
Well, that's a good thing. So what else do they really like about it?
Well, Yamaha is paying attention to adding more premium features like extra charging is what we need for all of our devices now. So same stator on this outboard as the F300, but with a little cowling change, we're pulling the heat off the stator so it performs more optimally at idling and trolling, which is where you really need it. Have you seen it on your boat?
That's a great example because we've got 6 batteries on our front runner because we're running big Garmin screens. We're also running hooker pumps. And so you're pulling a lot of voltage and it really seems to work well. And our charge time doesn't seem to be very long at the end of the day.
Right.
So what else? What about the weight? Is that something that everybody's excited about?
Everyone's really excited about that. We are lightest in our class, 629 pounds for the 25-inch shaft, so that's something to be proud of.
Well, speaking of shaft lengths, what other shaft lengths do we have?
Comes in 25, 30, and 35-inch.
All right, and then let's talk a little bit about the colors that Yamaha offers.
Right, 3 factory colors. You've got this attractive pearlescent white behind us and our, traditional Yamaha gray that everybody knows. We also have a new white. It's called Classic White, and it's a warmer white, more of an eggshell color.
So, Lucy, when we're trolling, I notice there's not nearly as much white water. Why is that?
Good eye. So our offshore motors, our bigger V engines, have what's called thrust enhancing reverse exhaust. It's an extra port where the exhaust bubbles can come out of above the anti-ventilation plate anti-ventilation plate. And so instead of going through the propeller, they'll come out above that so the prop can grab clean water at or below 2,500 RPM and in reverse.
So if guys have any questions, where are they going to go to find out about this?
Go to YamahaOutboards.com.
All right, now, speaking of .com, we took you fishing today, and I want to congratulate you in front of all of Florida, our audience, as well as the live audience here. Look, you caught your first tarpon, actually caught 2 out of 3 boated. And I want to tell you, you did a great job today, and you're always going to remember your first, Lucy.
I am. I could barely hold it. It was awesome.
I know Bree does. Right, Bree? You remember your first one you got with me?
Yes, I do, of course. Congratulations, Lucy, and thank you for coming with us today. All right, when it comes to Captain Ridge Murphy in the Takeuchi Keys region, red fishing is simply in his blood. So let's see how he likes to target these members of the family. Go for it, Ridge.
If you grew up anything like I did, red fishing was a huge part of family days out on the water. Here in the Alt Equipment region, red fishing in Florida Bay all the way to the Middle Keys is a good way to learn how to present baits in sight fishing scenarios with a forgiving participant. Redfish can be caught all year round, from fishing a jig head on the bottom with a live shrimp in the wintertime around the islands and in the moats, to sight fishing big schools of fish rumbling on the crowns of the flats in the summertime. From tailing fish to piggybacking on rays, reds have many different mannerisms that can help you become a better angler. A few things that you want to do when you're targeting these fish is aim small and miss small. Redfish are very forgiving, and that way when you make a good cast to them, you can be really aggressive with that cast. Hit him in the face, and as long as the angle's going away from the fish rather than coming at him, you should get a bite. You can throw lures like the Berkley hard baits, such as a Jaywalker 100, Berkley stick shad, or soft plastics like a Bass Assassin 4-inch D-shad or Elite Shiner, or shrimp patterns like a Fish Bites Hammerfish shrimp. But nothing catches redfish quite like a Johnson Gold Spoon, 1/4 ounce or 1/2 ounce preferably. Throw Fenwick Elite rods in 7 foot to 7.6 and medium fast to medium light with a 2,500 to 4,000 size Penn spinning reel, and use 8 to 15 pound braided Berkley X9 braided line and a 20 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader. And I have a photo of my brother Colin with a good buddy of mine, Wiley Berg, over the weekend with a nice redfish that they caught on a Bass Assassin 4-inch D-shad in pink on a weedless eagle claw hook.
Yes, they did. All right, bud, what else you got inshore?
In the transition of the edges of the flats and into the potholes, the snooks are laying up and staging in the high current areas. Fish Bass Assassin paddle tails or bounce a shrimp on a jig head for the snooks as you're going up on the flats and as you're coming off of the flats. These fish are ranging from 23 inches to lower slot with the occasional jumbo mixed in. As you're pulling along, look for the blowouts, and once you see a few, slow down and blind cast into the green holes Looking for that stick-like silhouette with big yellow fins, that's going to be your fish laying in the hole. Use a 30 to 40-pound fluorocarbon leader on a Finwick Elite medium fast to medium rod. And offshore, we got mutton snappers. Mutton snappers fishing has been fair if you can keep them away from the sharks. Anchor or side drift on the edge of the reef, anywhere from 80 to 200 feet of water. Use a long leader and make sure that you have enough lead to hold bottom with all the current. These leads can range from 10 to 16 ounces, and that should be plenty. Use an Eagle Claw circle hook from 5.0 to 7.0 depending on the size of the bait. And for bait, use butterfly ballyhoos, live filtered cigar minnows, or live ballyhoos if you can get them. Also, we got lobsters inside the reefs and around the channels and the bridges. Make sure to have a dive flag and someone to drive the boat to keep you out of harm's way from other boaters. And use a tickle stick to tease the lobsters out of the rocks or the grass ledges, and a noose or a net to scoop them up. Make sure to dive with a buddy and pay attention to your regulations, including adding a lobster stamp to your yearly fishing license.
All right, Ridge, thank you so much. You covered it from A to Z, bub. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at the Florida Keys hotspots. Ridge says that inshore, the redfish are up on the flats. Look for the tailors and the wakers as you pull along the flats, throw gold spoons, bass assassin soft plastic jerk baits like a 4-inch sea shad and pink, white, or new penny on a weedless hook. And then offshore, the mahi 700 to 1,500 feet of water. Look for the birds and the debris trolling weedless, the weeding around the weed lines with the R&R magnet. And try that pin 30 wide, and have a few spinners ready for the schoolies. That may be fish that are following your one that you're catching.
Just read the hot spots, Rich. You got this.
Ridge got me. I got so excited about his lobster, I got distracted.
I was going to say something about lobster too. It's lobster season. All right. Now it's time to take a look at some tournaments going on in the Florida Keys. We got to refocus. All right. First, anglers fish for 7 species September 20th through the 22nd in the Herman Lucerne Memorial Backcountry Championship, a one-of-a-kind backcountry tournament that takes place only within the boundaries of Everglades National Park. Then as the Key Largo Rotaries take stock in Children Backcountry Challenge, which allows fishing day and night from Friday, October 4th to Sunday the 6th, followed by the presentation of awards for releases of redfish, snook, and trout in adult and junior divisions. And finally, anglers compete for awards in 3 divisions, artificial fly and bait, for the longest bonefish and permit during the 54th annual Isla Mirada Fall All-Tackle Bonefish and Permit Championship, October 14th through the 16th. And now finally, the ladies hone their fishing skills, October 19th in Isla Mirada during the Ladies Let's Go Fishing University, followed by the Fishing Fever Tournament on October 20th. For more information on these Keys tournaments, go to flakeys.com.
I'm glad you're reading all that.
Me too.
If I had to read all that, we would be like...
We are all glad.
A 3-hour show.
We know. All right, we're seeing spots in the Auto Equipment Southwest region with Captain Ronnie Houston. So let's find out what we're using and where we're going. Hi, Ronnie.
Well, Rick and Bree, this might be a species I know just a little bit about. So they can be caught throughout the region in many different ways. Now, whether using artificial baits or live baits, really too many to name, but some of the best artificials when I'm out, I have on my boat, I keep it simple. A variety of topwater walk-the-dog lures, gold and silver spoons, or simply a variety of artificial shrimp and paddle tails with a variety of jig heads or hooks to hook them weedless. And when it comes to live bait, your pinfish, your pilchards, and herring are really good baits to use. But I'll truthfully tell you, for somebody who's really trying to catch a redfish for the first time, redfish really like scent. So I would recommend or prefer cut ladyfish or mullet on knocker rigs. When I say knocker rigs, it keeps the bait stationary and draws the fish to it. Most of these fish that I'm talking about are going to be caught on the flats or in potholes and troughs on your lower stages of the tide, and along mangrove shorelines, points with current, deadwood, and oyster bars at your higher stages of the tide. I have a recent picture of a gentleman who just fished with me, and that redfish right there was caught on artificial. Inshore, still the snook. Now, a couple weeks are coming up. Snook season's going to be opening up, so the bite has really been good throughout the region, especially with the added water we've had in the last couple weeks. Count your efforts right now on spillways and bridges that really have good fresh water flow, along with in the areas with the Peace and Caloosahatchee River, also the East Wall in Punta Gorda, and Matlacha points and jogs along the shoreline. They are also nighttime intercoastal docks and seawalls throughout the whole region, southern area of the region down to the south, your outer Gulf Islands from Coon Key to Pavilion Key. Most of the information this week is on artificial baits like your Savage Creepers, 3.5, your Berkeley Jaywalkers, downsizing to the 100 series, or your 4-inch Bass Assassin paddle tails in Panic Water, your white, your chartreuse, and your root beer and glow have been working real well. Also to the south, your live pinfish, pilchards, and finger mullet. All the finger mullet that have moved in after the storm have also been working. I have a picture of a nice flat-sized snook that was recently caught, so in September, that's the size snook you're looking for.
That's it.
Offshore side. It's taken a little bit of time for the winds and seas to calm down. Tropical Storm Debbie passed, but I'm also getting great reports this week, especially when we got a little bit of an easterly flow of the permit. Your wrecks and artificial reefs actually throughout the whole region are holding fish, some more than others as the fish start to group back up. It also looks like they are grouping back up a little better to the north, so you want to concentrate on anchoring up in some of these areas, also using the run and gun method. Once you find these fish, reports I've had, actually in the last 3 days, these fish are chewing. Guys are using live shrimp as well as live crabs. They're either sight casting or drifting along the areas where these are at, and a variety of ways using weighted and unweighted. Also, with some of the cloudy water, guys are telling me have some bright colored troll lights and with the shrimp or crab. That will help in order for them to see the bait. I got a nice picture of a permit just caught yesterday with on-a-mission fishing charters out of Naples and catching the last few days, so things are looking good. Last species is going to be the gag grouper. Now, here we go. We're going to have a short season for these gag grouper that are opening up in September, I believe, till like the 15th. Captain Bo Johnson has been fishing offshore. He has been catching a variety of fish with some good gags mixed in. He's been fishing north from Fort Myers Beach to Stump Pass in a variety of depths from 85 feet and beyond, concentrating on ledges and hard bottom, also using a variety of cut bait as live cigar minnows, herring and pinfish on the bottom. Looks like good things are going to be happening as it opens up in a couple weeks. The results are looking good. Prime example, of course, Bo knows, a nice gag grouper caught offshore on the northern end.
Boy, that is a nice one, man. All right, bud, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the battery tender hotspots. Ronnie says that, guys, inshore, juvenile tarpon plentiful from Coon Key to the Barren River along the feeder creeks leading into the middle of the bays. And then offshore, yellowtail and mangrove snappers and cobia fish the wrecks from Wiggins Pass to Stump Pass, chum using small cut bait and also live pinfish.
What a great report. Ronnie always kills it. Yep. All right, anglers, it's last call for tickets, so you don't want to miss out on the Maverick Boat Group Owners Tournament at Hawks Cay Resort in the beautiful Florida Keys. It's the perfect event for the entire family, and ticket sales end August 19th, so go to maverickboats.com/owners to get them.
That's
it's going to be a good one. All right, coming right up at the CCA Workbench, Dave is taking us all shopping for Taco Marine new products. Dave, shiny things. We got good stuff.
Good stuff. A nice pair of pliers here for the ladies wanting to buy something for their husbands, or if the husband needed to buy something for their lady.
Yeah, a new forearm and a hand, I see.
Yeah.
And then the Fish Bites East region has plenty of options for our weekend ahead with the one and only Captain Mike Holliday. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark. And Maverick Boat Group, makers of premium boat brands Maverick, Hughes, Pathfinder, and Cobia.
Well, we're here at the CCA Workbench, and it's time for the Taco Marine new products. And Dave, I'm really excited about your new products tonight. We got really cool stuff.
We're going to start there with the laser sharp Sparky jig. That's the LSSWS12W, if you want to write that down, everybody.
Yes.
It's a really cool little jig. It's designed for inshore fishing, obviously, for snook, reds, trout, yellowtail snapper, everything. Comes in 4 high-vis colors, chartreuse, green, pink, and white, and 6 different sizes, all the way from 1/16 ounce all the way up to 3/8 ounce.
So let me tell you why I think I really like this, Dave. You know, when you put a shrimp, you're going to hook the shrimp through the mouth and come out the horn.
Mm-hmm.
With the black nickel hooks, they have a very small
gap.
Well, it's not just the gap, but the barb.
Oh, I got
So
you.
what ends up happening is the weight, you throw it through the air, and when the weight of the jig hits the water and no barb, guess what happens? Your shrimp falls off.
Right, that's no bueno.
So when you have these perma-steel type of hooks,
Right.
the silver ones, you're going to have a bigger...
Yeah, those are forged points on those hooks too, by the way.
That's correct.
And those are all made in Denver, Colorado. And I even use these, we did a little video when I was there, I even used these as a wacky jig.
Of course.
I put on a worm when I'm bass fishing. I use the small ones and put it on right in the middle of the worm, and they work great. They make that worm dance all over the place.
Of course.
Next we have from Scientific Angler, the Amplitude Smooth Bonefish Plus. It's a half-size heavy line, which means that it's got a little, what you were saying before, it's got a lot of taper in the front, allows you to throw that fly and turn it over in the wind.
That's exactly right. And this is a 9 weight. And the reason why I like 9 weights, Dave, is because in the spring and the fall, when this is the best time to bonefish, it's always blowing.
Yeah, it's always
And if you're
windy.
trying to throw a little bigger fly and to turn over a 12 or a 13-foot leader, a lot of times you need a weight forward, and this Amplitude it would be like having a golf ball and a pair of tube socks. So it's really weighted towards the end, a small taper, and it allows you to really turn it over in the wind, downwind, or throwing it into the wind.
It's really smooth line. It has 5 times less drag and 8 times the durability of traditional lines. And it's got an AST Plus slickness additive in there, which makes it even slicker, and also has a Tropicore technology, which means that in the tropics, in the heat, it'll stay stiffer and still be slick, which is hard to do.
And it allows you to be able to stretch it too with that tropic.
Right. It comes in 6, 7, 8, and 9 weights.
Nice.
So
Well,
you can get that Scientific Angler.
Speaking of 9, what do we have?
Well,
from
this
Hardy?
is a beautiful, beautiful fly reel here from Hardy. You know, they make, I think they make stuff for the royalty, don't they? Hardy?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, Hardy does.
The king and the prince both fish Hardy reels.
Yeah, that's the Hardy Fortuna Regent fly reel, and it's designed for all the most demanding conditions across the globe. Delivers really nice, effortless power and control. It's designed around that waterproof hub in the middle that hides the drag.
Correct.
And that is a waterproof hub with a carbon fiber drag, the system in there, and it's completely waterproof. Comes in a 6,000, an 8,000, a 10,000. I think that's a 10,000 there, and a 12,000. It's got the really large arbor, narrow spool, picks up line really, really fast, and yeah, just amazing.
Where do we go to find it?
Hardyfishing.com. They're just really, really nice.
And scientificanglersfortheflyline.com?
Correct.
Now, these are new guys.
Yes.
So tell me about these
This
pliers.
is a Gomexis Plier X. It's a titanium fishing plier, 7-inch, never rust. They have a lifetime warranty on rust. 100% CNC machine from high-grade titanium. They're strong, exceptionally strong and durable. They're made to last a lifetime. You buy these pliers, you never have to buy another pair of pliers again. Split ring tip on there, premium tungsten carbide line cutters, and they give you extra ones. They give you 3 extra cutters.
And extra screws, because old guys like us, we're going to drop a daggum screw.
I already dropped one today. They have a nice lanyard.
So that means we got our screws are loose.
Yeah, no, I dropped one of these little screws here, because when you get your lanyard, you put it on the reel. Comes with a little wrench to put your lanyard on the reel as well. Ergonomic grips for really precise control. Just a really, really nice pair of pliers from Gomex.
Are these mine or these yours?
Those are yours. I'll let you have those. The
You're
Gomex,
the best, Dave.
Gomexis.com, GOMEXUS.com to get those pliers. Everybody should have a pair of pliers like that.
Yes, sir.
Rick, everything's yours, especially for those little screws of yours. There you go. You got it. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's the perfect time to purchase a brand new Yamaha during Yamaha's Cruise Through Summer Sales event. From now until August 30th, eligible new Yamaha 450 to 425 HP outboards include up to 7 years of coverage protection. 350 to 30 horsepower outboards come with up to 5 years, and all new Yamaha portables include up to $250 in dealer credits. So for more information, visit your local Yamaha dealer today. But you know what? If you're on the hunt for redfish in the Fish Bites East region with Captain Mike Holiday, you're going to want to head north and fish for the fish focused on the bait schools. Am I right, Mike?
Just
Yeah,
read
that's
the
pretty
prompt.
much
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get my screws are loose today a little bit too, I guess.
That's a definite.
It's the full moon.
Is it?
You know, the best redfish action in my region takes place in the Indian River and in the inlets on the northern end of the region. Right now, you'll find a lot of the resident fish in Fort Pierce or Sebastian inlets. They'll be feeding on crabs, flushing out with the tides. You can also find the fish along the docks on the west side of the river, north and south of Fort Pierce, in the old inlet area, and on the flats off Round Island. As we move into fall, the redfish will spool up on the flats to spawn and also get on the bridges to feed on the mullet coming through. You want to target the fish with a gold spoon, a topwater plug, or soft plastics like a bass assassin new penny or Houdini colored sea shad, or even like a regular shad. Really, any of the darker colored shads with a gold or red glitter in them is going to work. For bait, live or dead crabs, shrimp, mullet, or pilchards are the top baits. Average redfish in my region is 4 to 10 pounds. I got a photo of a young kid, Charlie DeBay. He got this over the slot fish off the Stewart Causeway, and that fish ate a live mullet. The other thing we got going on over the next couple of weeks, we'll see the largest snook of the summer move into the inlets and onto the beaches in places like the Juneau and Lake Worth Pier, Hope Sound Wildlife Refuge, and North Beach in Fort Pierce. There's also a good bridge bite at night around the A1A Bridge in Jupiter and the Roosevelt Bridge in Stewart. In the inlets, you want to target the fish with live croakers, redfins, or sandperch. For the fish on the beach, pretty much the hot bait is a saltwater assassin, copper juice colored 4-inch sea shad, or live pilchard. On the bridges, those fish are focused on mullet. So live mullet, a topwater plug, or an Artemis shad are going to be the top offering. The average snook right now is 8 to 20 pounds. The biggest fish of the year around. I got a photo of Troy Stimman. He's a local vet in Stewart. He got this nice overslot fish in the St. Lucie Inlet, and that fish ate a live croaker.
All right, let's go ahead and go offshore, Hollywood.
Well, the blue water trolling bite has been on the slow side, and it's been sailfish that have been saving the day for a lot of anglers. We're on the very end of the summer sailfish season, but there's still a good number of fish around, and they're traveling in pods at 2 to 4 fish. So when you do hook one, you want to try and keep a couple of baits in the water to see if you can get a bite from one of the other fish that are with that hook fish. You can even cast at the hook fish and pick a fish off of it. For bait, live threadfins, pilchards, sardines, and goggle eyes, those have been your top baits. The boats that are catching a lot of fish are the ones that are targeting sailfish. They're either power drifting or they're putting out baits on kites. Average sailfish in my region right now is 40 to 50 pounds. And the other bite we got going, the snapper bite has been the most consistent action in blue water. It's been a mixed bag of snappers, mangroves, lanes, muttons, and yellowtails for the most part. The current's been really honking, so the better snapper action has been in less than 75 feet of water in places like the Loran Ledge, the Sand Pile, the 65-foot reef off Fort Pierce, and up off Bethel Shoals. There's also been good shallow water bite at night for yellowtails and muttons off Palm Beach County in 55 feet of water or less. And you can target the fish with everything from a sand perch or a pinfish to a pilchard, a sardine, or a cigar minnow. For the muttons, seems like grunt plugs and butterfly ballyhoo have been the top baits the last couple of days. Average snapper, anywhere from 2 to 12 pounds depending on the species. And this photo will give you a good example. Captain Glenn Cameron on the Floridian charter boat sent me this shot of a big mangrove and a mutton snapper these girls got off the 8 Mile Reef. Those fish ate grunt plugs down on the bottom.
Yeah, they sure did. All right, let's talk a little bit about bass fishing.
Yeah, well, you know, the rain we had last week or two, that's brought the water levels up on Lake Okeechobee, and at the same time, it's dropped the surface temperatures, and that's really fired up the school bass bite. The fish are feeding on shad. There's been that standard dawn shad bite. And then on some days, a mid-morning schooling fish bite like 11 to 2 o'clock out of nowhere. I was talking to Captain Nathan Sheldon of OkeechobeeBassFishing.com. He said the school fish right now are around Kings Bar. They're outside Tin House Cove, and they're on 4th Point. You can throw anything from a white spinner bait with a copper-colored blade to a Bass Assassin split-tail shad or a lead shiner or fork-tail shad in any of the shad colors. Those soft plastics are really catching a lot of those school fish right now. And then once the school bite shuts down, there's been a good midday flipping bite back in the marsh. The key there has been to pay attention to where you're getting the bite. One day it's in the Kissimmee grass. The next day it's on the bull rushes and buggy whips. Don't be afraid to throw a frog-style bait in the middle of the day as well. The average bass on Okeechobee right now has been 1 to 3 pounds with fish up to 7 pounds. So Okeechobee's, still fishing pretty well. Not big numbers, but good fish.
So Mike, we were just there filming out of the Front Runner and doing a kingfish show. We felt a lot of cool temperatures because of that cold water updwelling that was in, near shore. How should guys adjust for this weekend to kind of overcome that?
Well, anytime we get a lot of offshore winds, we're gonna have those cold water upwellings. As we come through this weekend, we should get the northeast and easterly winds from that storm, that hurricane that's pushing up the coast. So that'll really bring in a lot of warmer water from out off the Gulf Stream and out off the Florida Straits. So everything's going to be on top. The cold water is going to be on the bottom. Everything's going to be on top. It's going to be a little bit rougher, but the dolphin bite should really fire up with those northeasterly winds and easterly winds.
All right, thank you so much for that advice. I'm sure all the guys in your region are going to appreciate that. It's time for the TH Marine Hotspots from the East region. Mike says that inshore, tarpon on the Stewart Causeway at night, on the outgoing tide, live crabs or mullet on the shadow lines will catch those poons, and then offshore, kingfish in 75 feet of water off of Jensen Beach. Live threadfin sardines or pilchards on a number 4 stinger rig is going to work for those king mackerels.
Mackerel. All right, folks, we're going to keep reminding you of the Shoreline Showdown Surf Fishing Tournament Series presented by Fish Bites. 4 tournaments, 1 championship, and over $75,000 in guaranteed payouts, plus fishing for a chance to qualify to compete for the title of the Ultimate Surf Angler. We are 2 down with 2 more to go. So for more information, scan that QR code or visit shorelinesshowdown.com. But you know what? We're casting into the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast and Frontrunner Boats Northeast region when we come back. And remember to keep up with everything fishing in Florida. Scan that QR code to check out all of our social media pages, YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, and on our website you can find our show merchandise, plus any products you see on the show. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, the voice of recreational anglers for over 35 years. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. Takeuchi, from world first to world leader. The Florida Keys and Key West. Come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
All right, the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region isn't quite known for their redfish population, but if anyone can give us some hope in finding one, it's Captain Jimbo Thomas, of course.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. Hello, Bree, Rick, Dave, and all the guests in the studio. Just like the last few years, redfish are still a rare catch anywhere in the Southeast region, and it's been quite a while since I've heard of any being seen or caught. And the few that are caught in the region, and it's very few, are typically in the South Biscayne Bay area from Matheson Hammock south to Card Sound. You want to fish along the western shoreline, usually around the mouths of the Spillway Canal. And then occasionally, there's a redfish caught in the Lake Worth Lagoon in the north end of the region, and generally not much in between. And just like redfish in the rest of the state, they can be caught on bucktails tipped with shrimp, shrimp under a popping cork, jigs with soft plastic tails, gold spoons, and cut and live baits fished on or near the bottom. Now, the few that we've ever caught in South Biscayne Bay were on live pilchards that we were fishing along the shoreline trying to catch a snook. So there's still some out there, but it's pretty rare. One thing we do have quite a few of is snook, and the catch and release snook fishing in the inlets is still one of our best inshore bets. Now, the snook are in all of the inlets of the region. They're being caught on live pinfish, pilchards, herrings, and croakers. You want to fish them near the bottom using a Jupiter rig. You want to use a heavy leader, 50-pound test leader, 5/0 to 6/0 circle hooks. If you don't have any live baits, you try working pink or chartreuse flare hook jigs or 4 to 5 inch gulp or Bass Assassin jerk baits in the same colors along the bottom. Best fish has been early in the mornings or late in the afternoons into the evenings. And there's also been some snook roaming the beaches, especially in the north end of the region. Look for these snook along the beaches from Boca Inlet to Lake Worth Inlet. And these fish, they can be sight fish early in the morning off the beach by foot or boat. You want to use live bait or artificials in green and white and pearl colors. So you want to match the hatch. Now, moving offshore, we're still finding dolphin on a daily basis. And just like in the past few weeks, the fish have been offshore anywhere from 4 to 15 miles, finding them around scattered sargassum, floating debris, and under birds. The birds have been our best source of the fish. Now, the few of the fish, they're being caught on the troll with rig baits, ballyhoo, bonita strips, and then small lures. And then once we find the fish, they're being caught on small live baits like pilchards, small blue runners, and they've also been eating the cut bait good. So cut bonita, cut ballyhoo, they've been eating good. And there's also been some bait under some of the weed patches and the floaters, so it's a good idea to keep a sabiki rod handy so you can restock the live well with the small blue runners that are hanging underneath those floating debris. Now, the dolphin, they've been getting a little better size with most of the schoolies in the 4 to 8 pound range, so we haven't really had to let any of them go. They've all been easy keepers. I got another photo here. This is the Martinez family with a nice dolphin catch from last weekend. And then I got another photo here, and this is a familiar face. This is Bree's daughter, Mia, with her first mahi caught off Boynton Beach.
You go,
Nice.
girl.
Way
Reeled
to
it in
go,
herself.
Mia.
She's so proud. And that's her cousin, Stella.
All right. All right, tell us about the snappers.
I guess I forgot to mention Craig found the snook, but all right, so on the snapper. Nighttime snapper fishing has been excellent throughout the region, especially for mangrove, but there's also been yellowtails and muttons mixed in. These snappers have been hanging out on the outside reef, anywhere from 40 to 80 feet of water, and they're being caught on dead sardines, silver sides, and dead pilchards. You want to fish them on the bottom with a knocker rig. Use 20 to 30 pound leader and 1/0 to 3/0 circle hooks. Best fish has been along the outside reef line. And these mangroves have been anywhere from 2 to 6 pounds. It's a nice one. There's also been bait coming up in the lights if you're out there at night. Pilchards and goggle eyes. You can get a sabiki, catch a few of those, and put those back down for bait. And that's what some of these larger fish are being caught on the fresh liveys. But just like it's been, the sharks, the bull sharks, and the lemon sharks have been a real problem coming up and eating a lot of the fish.
All right, Jimbo, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Black Oak LED hotspots from the southeast region. Jimbo says inshore, look for the snook in all the inlets and off the beaches in the early morning and the evening where they are eating both live and artificial baits. And then offshores, look for the variety of snappers along the edges of the outside reef, fishing with live and cut baits in the evening.
Snappers.
As hot as it is, you might as well go and get that late night bite.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, man.
The sun goes down. All right, now let's head up the coast to the Front Runner Boats Northeast region, where Captain Tommy Derringer is just jonesing for this week's species, which I would say maybe is your specialty, Tommy. I don't know. What do you think?
That's about right, Bree.
Okay.
I think you're right, man. I love redfish. It's probably my favorite fish. I pretty much fish for them just about every day. And we have a fantastic redfish fishery here in the Front Runner Boats Northeast region. We catch a ton of them. We catch them all the time, year round. And I tell you, I let all my redfish go, but guys, since they changed the limit to 1 per person, I think those redfish numbers have really been on the increase. It's been a great thing that they've done. Now, you can catch redfish not only in the backcountry flats and creeks, but along the jetties, off the piers, from the beach, on the nearshore wrecks, just about anywhere there's some saltwater, there's going to be some redfish. One thing about redfish is anglers, from the pro level like Bree and Rick and Dave, all the way to the kid who's never fished before. They can really enjoy catching them. And once you catch one, I promise you, you're gonna be hooked on catching redfish. It's just super fun. The creek fishing throughout the entire region has been great here lately on the outgoing tide. All you need is a real simple rig, a live shrimp or a mud minnow. Put that on a 1/4 ounce saltwater assassin jig head, fish that right along the bottom. You fish that rig in the deeper creek holes at low tide, and I promise you, you're gonna find some hungry redfish. Now on that same low tide, the redfish have also been in the skinny stuff with their backs out of the water. They've also been on the flats and on the edges of the ICW. They're up there looking for small shrimp and especially looking for the small finger mullet. Right now, there's just a ton of those little mullet around. Now, my favorite lure to have my clients sight fish those skinny water redfish is one I talk about all the time on the show. It's the Saltwater Assassin Elite Shiner. That one Rick's holding right there, that rig with the Saltwater Assassin jig, weedless hook. Man, that is a killer for those skinny water redfish. Now, we also have a fantastic bull red fishery here in our region, especially in Jacksonville and the St. Johns River. Those big bull reds are going to start to show up soon. There's actually a few around now. They're going to hang around through our later summer months and into the fall. But just remember, if you're catching those big fish, handle them with care. Make sure they swim away nice and healthy so they can make lots of babies for us. And speaking of babies, I got a picture here. This is a proud daddy moment. This is my 6-year-old daughter, Owen, with her biggest redfish yet. She caught that with me last weekend. Bree, you know how it is. It's so cool to see your kids catch some big fish. She caught that fish all by herself, and her sister even netted that fish for her, so it was a team thing. It was awesome.
Proud poppy moment.
Way to go there, Dad. Tell us about the snooks.
Yeah, man, you know, the snook. I spoke to Captain Caleb Blackburn. He tells me he's been on a fantastic snook bite in the south end of the region this week. He's fishing a lot of the small canals and the creeks in the High Bridge area, and his clients are tossing a topwater plug early. Then he's going to switch to a saltwater assassin jerkbait after the sun comes up a little bit. Now, Captain Caleb says he's specifically targeting the bends in those canals, the bends or the little pinch points. And as long as they have some current running through them, if you find that along with some bait hanging out, you can be sure there's going to be a snook or two in that same area. Snook bite has been really good, and I've got another picture here. This is Vince with a big snook. That's a sizable one for us right there that he caught recently with Captain Caleb Blackburn from Grand Slam Fishing in the Tomoka Basin. Nice. Now moving offshore, guys, this weekend, you know, we've got the full moon coming up Monday after the weekend, and the mangrove snapper, they're going to be in spawn mode. Typically, you're going to see them in about 100 feet and out, although right this time of year, they're usually a little deeper, but chumming with chunk sardines, you can use pogies, cigar minnows, whatever you got really. Chum with whatever you got. It's going to help get those fish up in the water column, hopefully get them right there underneath your boat or right behind your boat. And you're going to want to downsize your gear a little bit, typically to something like a long 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. Use a smaller 3-aught Eagle Claw circle hook. And then just free line those pieces of bait back with the chum. Try to make it look like those pieces that you've been tossing back. Those mangrove snapper, they're averaging about 6 to 8 pounds. But like I always talk about, we got some mucho mango, giant ones out there. Some of them are even in the 12 and 13 pound range. The last species is my kingfish. You know, the pogies, the bait along the beach, it finally showed up a little bit better after that storm that went by, and the kingfish have a little bit as well. I've had multiple captains tell me that they got on a good beach kingfish bite this week. Sounds like the pogies are still pretty scattered out there along the beaches, but they are out there, which is a good thing. And if you find the bait, that's probably going to be a great area to troll around for those kingfish. And I've got one last picture here, guys. Captain Rob Bennett, he sent me this picture of his client Jason with sizable beach kingfish they caught there out of St. Augustine.
You know, Tommy, our beloved producer, she fussed at me in my earpiece because she said I cut you off on your daughter. If I did that, I apologize. I want to publicly go before all our fan base and apologize that I cut you off about your daughter picture because, I mean, you know, I didn't mean to if I did.
No,
all right. I love you, bud. Thank you so much.
You're still her hero, so don't worry.
She's mine. Which netting the fish for her sister, those are the best times ever. That's so awesome. We're going to go and take a look at the strike zone hotspots from the Northeast region. Tommy says that inshore, the redfish on the top water, Berkeley jaywalker plugs at first light on the high tide, target grass lines that are holding schools of mullet, and then offshore mangrove snappers from 100 to 140 feet, chum with cut sardines, or maybe even a pogie.
You love kids, Rick, and I'm so happy you apologized on camera. That's just the best.
It's just, you know, our producer, she's
Oh,
tough.
just blame it on the producer.
I'll have to hear about that for months.
I know. I see you have a friend over there giving you a hand behind you. When you're on the road, make sure you show your support for Florida's fisheries with a Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Funds from the sale of the redfish tag directly support protecting and enhancing marine resources, habitat restoration, water quality, and coastal environmental education. Make sure you get yours now at your local DMV.
High five.
Or redfishtag.com. We've made it all the way around the state with the Sea Sucker Panhandle region left to explore, and Captain Pat Deneen is ready and waiting for us. So make sure you stay hooked, and we'll be right back. There he is. No, it's over. No more high fives.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. Island Lures. Tournament Tackle. The IGFA. Every fish, every water, every angler since 1939. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. Real Legends. Available at bellsflorida.com. And Taco Marine. Master the catch.
I'm gonna go park the truck, babe. I got the kids.
Getting your boat on the water requires your full attention. And having a family with you is no easy task. That's why Power Pole is like having an extra set of hands, making a day on the water the best it could be with less stress and more time for fun with friends and family. Family fun made easy because of Power Pole, and that's your Power Pole tip of the week.
And that's your Power Pole tip.
Way to go.
Way to go.
That's a good one.
The whole family made it.
Whole
Imagine
damn
that.
family.
Whole damn family. All right, the Sea Sucker Panhandle region is just about ready for the run of the bulls. So let's see what Captain Pat Deneen recommends for this region's star species. Go for it, Pat.
Hey, Bree, the redfish are probably one of the favorite inshore fish in the Panhandle region. They can be and they are caught year-round, but some of the best redfish in this past approaching. Big bull redfish, they school up late summer, especially in our bays and inlets. The outgoing tides, especially the beginning and the end of the moving water. Generally best with croakers being the best bait, but spot minnows, finger mullets, big fish, and really any 3 to 5 inch fish can be effective. You want to chin hook your bait using a circle hook on a Carolina 40-pound leader. That chin hook keeps them faced into the current. Currently, it's been real consistent, but Timmel Bridge, the Destin and Mid-Bay bridges, and the 3-mile bridge over in Pensacola are soon to turn on. And lately, the central part of Choctawhatchee Bay has the topwater action from big bull redfish. And they say if show me a photo, it didn't happen. Well, there's a photo of a really big redfish caught with Captain Brad Bishop in Choctawhatchee Bay. Topwater flipped last week. It's really cool to see a massive school of big reds feeding on the surface.
That's a stud, dude.
Yeah, that's a big one, Rick. No doubt about that. Staying inshore, if you want to catch some fish that have some fun, the bluefish, the Spanish mackerel, the ladyfish have been sick. They're just outside of the passes along the beaches and in the channels and edges just in passes. And really most of the lure with some flash that has some action that's going to work. But I prefer casting spoons, jigs, or other single hook lures. You also use 40-pound leaders. Plugs with multiple treble hooks, they work great. But they're also a great way to put the hook in your hand. It's a great fishery for new anglers as a catching some fury. And what's really cool is that we've had some very healthy bluefish this season. 5 and 6 pounders are not uncommon, which is way above average for us. Also, we've been having some fish pushing 10 pounds. So we're getting, I guess, some of those bluefish that show up here every few years. Moving on to our amberjacks have reopened in Gulf waters for harvest, and some good ones being caught. The biggest ones are coming off of the deeper wrecks, the barges, tugboats, the large metal wrecks. The deep water natural ledges with high relief are also doing good. You want a lively, active bait is going to be best, and you want to fish them on a long. Hardtails are the #1 bait, but threadfin herrings also make good baits. And small bonitas, if you can keep them, especially deadly for the jumbo amberjacks. If you want to go artificial, slow pitch style metal jigs are good on the deep water spot. On the shallower wrecks, a topwater bait skittered over wrecks results in some really impressive topwater bites. Although most of those wrecks on the shallow spots are going to be short. The deeper spots are producing jacks in that 50-plus pound class, and there's a photograph of a nice amberjack caught out of Destin on this blue tree with Captain Devin Starver. And that dude right there looked like he pulled pretty hard.
Yes, sir.
Ouch.
And then offshore, the conditions have been really calm. The swordfish and the daytime swordfishing has been excellent. A lot of boats are taking advantage of it. The fast center consoles, they're running that 50 to 80 miles. They got 7 or 8 hours to fish and then coming home. And they're getting it done. And it's not uncommon for them to catch several swordfish in a day. They're targeting 1,200 to 2,000 feet of water using breakaway, sacrificial, and strip baits, squids, and eels for bait. You skirt your baits to keep them a little bit more, and there's been some impressive sizes caught, with many in the 140 to 200 plus pound class being caught. So that has been it's really been good all summer. So it's been a new fishery that everybody's enjoying.
All right, Pat, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Panhandle hotspots. Pat says the tarpon and the redfish and the jacks are hanging around the Mid-Bay Bridge. Slow troll, the pylons with a nose hook croaker or a mullet, and then offshore the squiggles and 100-fathom line east of the DeSoto Canyon has been good for white marlin, sailfish, and other pelagics. Dredgefish and troll, some small ballyhoos are going to work really well for them.
There's some big old fish coming out of the Sea Sucker Panhandle region.
You're absolutely,
man.
And the cool part about the weather when it's calm is it allows you to really go do things that haven't been pressured.
True.
So that's the one thing that's so awesome about that blue water up there in Destin. It comes in so close, and that's why the Destin has such great offshore fishing.
Exactly. All right, well, the captains have spoken, and the redfish reports are in with some fun fall fishing just around the corner and a weekend fight forecast to die for. But stay with us to hear what we're hunting for next week on the Florida Insider Fishing Report. All right, well, next week we are talking triple tails, so make sure you tune in for that. But thank you to our studio audience for being here. You guys have been such a quality studio audience. The clapping, the interaction, I love it. Make sure you guys, if you want to be a part of our live studio audience, you join us for our bass show coming up, which will be fun, our last live studio audience.
We're going to have Shaw Grigsby, one of the Star Bright fishing pros, and he's going to come and tell us about how to really catch big bass in Florida.
You gotta be here for that. So make sure you go to our website, sign up, come hang out with us. You're gonna have a good time. And go out and catch those redfish. We're giving you those tips and send in your photos, and we will see everybody